Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we're going to break down the top 10 videos of the weekend. You're back with Couple Movie Watchers, and we're going to start off with the number one movie of the weekend, and that is Marvel's Thunderbolts. In the second weekend, it dropped about 55%, which is lower than expectations, making about $33 million in the second weekend, which is slightly, it's good but bad. What I mean by good and bad, percentage-wise, it's not that bad when you compare it to Captain America: A Civil War, which dropped about 68%, but that movie opened up bigger. It's in a range with Shang-Chi, which dropped about 54%, which is about 1% off, which is actually interesting when you look at both of these films. Both of these films had really good reviews, really good ratings, and people really enjoyed the Thunderbolts and Shang-Chi. And to be honest, I really enjoyed both movies as well. But the reality is they don't really hold that name value, right? A lot of people don't really know who the Thunderbolts are, at least with the Suicide Squad, especially one. You had Will Smith, you had Harley Quinn, you had the Batman in there, the Joker. There were characters that people recognize, right? When it comes to Thunderbolts, these are like the BC heroes that no one really cared about, right? You have to go in. I think the movie was good. I really, really, really enjoyed the movie. But from a marketing standpoint, the general public, they don't know these people and they don't care about these people. And it's definitely evidenced by the box office. Now, overall, I think it's a decent hold. At the end of the day, let's face it, how much money you really thought this movie was going to make with this cast, right? I think they probably should have lowered the budget. But overall, it's not too shabby really considering where Marvel's at right now. So hopefully this movie does better. I know they're trying to market as the new Avengers at this point, which to me is a little bit too late. It's very hard to change the name at the last moment. Especially it kind of ruins the surprise for people who haven't seen this movie. So overall, in 2 weekends, it made about $128 million at the domestic box office. I believe, it's just about $200 million worldwide. Coming in at number 2 is Sinners from Warner Brothers by Ryan Coogler. This movie, week by week, has an amazing hold, making about $214 million at the domestic box office in 4 weekends. In total, it made about $21 million this past weekend, which is only a dip of 36%. Week by week, it has been having a strong hold. I am curious to see the third week. Next week, it's going to be very telling for both of these movies. Can Sinners outtake Thunderbolts? I think that's a real possibility over time. As time progressed, there's going to probably be a weekend where Thunderbolts drop below Sinners at the box office as far as like the weekend box office is concerned, which will be super shocking, but not really, right? And the crazy thing about it is Thunderbolts and Sinners both have good reviews, but Thunderbolts is just not holding up. I think Disney Marvel just have such a negative reputation with some of the fan base that it's very hard to shake it off, But overall, Thunderbolts, Sinners, great films, movies that I enjoyed both of them. So if you get a chance, you're not going to be disappointing seeing either or. And no, Sinners is going to come back in IMAX soon, I believe next weekend. I think next weekend is probably going to definitely beat out Thunderbolts with the IMAX screenings because people want to see Sinners on the premium screen. And it's worth it. To be honest, I really enjoyed both movies on a premium screen if you can. If not, a large screen if possible. Coming in at number 3 is a Minecraft movie, another Warner Brothers movie. So Warner Brothers is doing pretty good as far as like their movies out right now. This movie made about $7.9 million, which is a drop of 42% from last weekend. In total, in 6 weeks, it crossed over the 400 million mark at about $408 million. To be honest, I really enjoyed this movie. It's stupid, it's fun, it's not, we're not talking about cinema or anything crazy like that. It's just a stupid, fun, enjoyable movie that you have a good time to, which is actually crazy because like when the first preview came out, people just bashed it. I didn't expect it was going to hold up, but I think IP really, really matters. And when we look at the top 10, I'm going to show another movie that has another video game movie we'll talk about later. Coming at number 4 is The Accountant 2 by Amazon. This movie dropped 36% compared to last weekend and making $6.1 million at the box office this past weekend. In total, made about $50 million in 3 weeks. To be honest, I really enjoyed The Accountant 1, but I have no intentions to see Accountant 2 at the movie theaters, even with AMC stubs or the AMC A-list, whatever it's called. I just don't feel the ambition to go out to see it. Like, I want to see it, but I just don't want to. I just don't feel it. I don't know why. I heard it's good, but I just don't have that ambition to see it. If The Accountant 2 is really good, let me know. Maybe I'll check it out. Coming in at number 5 is Clown in the Cornfield by IFC. To be honest, I've never heard of this movie until this weekend when I seen the movie making headlines. It made $3.6 million this opening weekend, which I guess is decent. The movie was made for about $10 million. So it'll probably definitely make its money back eventually at some point, especially when you look at a video on demand. So this movie I think it's going to have some legs, long term. So don't be surprised to see this movie even crack $10 million at the domestic box office before this movie hit streaming. Yeah. And I heard it was actually pretty decent. So if you've seen it, let me know. Let me know your thoughts below. All right, we're going to move on to the number 6 movie. Now, this movie is called Shadow Force by Lionsgate. I don't even know how Lionsgate is still the studio, man. They've been having flop after flop after flop. They just dropped the flops. It's just amazing. Shadow Force is number 6, making about $2 million in its opening weekend, which is pretty terrible for a movie with a $40 million production cost, which is totally crazy, right? It has some actors I've seen before, but no buzz. I feel like it's a weird cast, right? I love Kerry Washington. She's been great. She has some good TV roles. Unfortunately, not really necessarily a movie star. And also you have the guy, Omar Sy. Another guy, he's more like a streaming guy. I think this movie would have did really well as a Netflix movie, not necessarily as a movie at the movie theaters. Plus, I didn't really see no previews of the movie. I didn't really see no ads for this movie. It just didn't have and you can just see in the box office that this movie totally flopped. Unfortunately, people mostly seen it was men, about 52%, with black moviegoers leading the way at 35%. Then Caucasian, Latino, and Asian. And then the over 35 is the best demo for a movie like this, which I can see. They're kind of like older actors, so they don't have that young, hip appeal. If you're watching the Minute Game, I seen her in a movie called Lift. She did an amazing job like over 20 years ago. But yeah, she's just not that star, unfortunately. And this movie, unfortunately, failed. Going to the number 7 movie, I guess it could have been worse, right? It could have been Fight or Flight, which made about $2 million in its opening weekend. I've seen a lot of ads for this and more people talking about this movie. And a lot of people said this movie was good. And it does have the people, I believe, behind John Wick behind it. But overall, this movie flopped. I guess Josh Hartnett resurgence is not doing too well. And to be honest, even in his heyday, he was never like the guy. Like, it's not like he was Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves was the guy. Josh Hartnett was someone they tried to make the guy, but he was never the guy, so you can't really have a resurgence if you just never had a surgence, right? So overall, this is actually a movie I wouldn't mind seeing at the movie theaters. It looks like a fun, dumb movie, my type of movie, not too much thinking. Hopefully I get a chance to watch it. If not, I will catch it on streaming like a working man, which I forgot I need to check that out pretty soon. All right, we're going to go to number 8 movie, and that is Until Dawn by Sony. This movie made $18 million at the domestic box office. I think it cracked over $30 million internationally. And from my understanding, I don't have the numbers on me right now, but from my understanding, it already made its money back. So this goes back to IP, right? I think you have an IP that people recognize. You can do decent numbers as long as you manage your budget. This is a movie that didn't cost much to make, and it still was able to make some pretty decent money, like $2 million in its 3rd weekend. If you look at Fight or Flight, which made about $2 million as well, and what is that other movie? Shadow Force, which is at about the $2 million mark as well. Those movies They don't really have the IP like a Until Dawn or a Minecraft. Imagine if Until Dawn was actually a better movie. That movie probably would have made like a lot more money. And even like, to be honest, I never even heard of this game, but it looks like they had like a little bit of a fan base. And I even watched the movie because it looked somewhat interesting. And to be honest, it was a decent movie. You could catch it on streaming. It wasn't the best. To be honest, I just didn't like the characters in the movie, but I thought it was an interesting film. I give it a solid 5 out of 10. If you see it, you might have a decent time, or you might hate it depending on your opinion on the IP. Coming in at number 9 is The Amateur, making about $1.1 million, a dip of 42%, making about $38 million in 5 weeks. Good film. Third act sucks. That's all I gotta say about that. Check out my review on that. And rounding out the top 10, you got King of Kings by Angel Studios, making about $680,000, a 60% dip. But overall, this movie did really well, making $59 million in 5 weeks. I might start doing individual videos just kind of breaking down the box office, because this movie has been really interesting to me, because I don't think Angel Studios, they didn't produce it from the beginning. I think they just acquired the movie, kind of like, I think they acquired the movie. They didn't, I feel like they do a good job as acquiring movies that they know will speak to their audience as a studio, and they know how to market to that audience. So they do a really good job with that. But overall, those are the top 10 movies of the weekend. Let me know, have you seen any of these movies? Do you plan on seeing it? Are you shocked that Thunderbolts is dropping mighty heavily? Do you think it's a solid drop? Do you think Thunderbolts is gonna outperform Captain America Civil War? That is the question. I'm gonna lean towards, I don't know. We'll see on the third week. By the third week, we'll have a solid idea to see where Thunderbolts is gonna land overall. But overall, those are the top 10 movies. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Your views really help us build the channel, to let me know that other people are watching. It kind of keeps me going, that I'm not just talking to the void out there on the internet. So until next time, peace.